Hello everybody out there in Flosstube world. This is Vicki, aka the Virginia Stitcher, coming to you with my Flosstube number 20. I am out of the teens. I am getting up there in age, Flosstube wise and years wise. So today is February 2nd of 2022. For any of you watching it way in the future or anything like that, we're getting ready. Our country, the whole middle of the U.S. is going through a blizzard. Here in Virginia, the sun's out, it's fine, it's nice. But I am actually leaving tomorrow and trying to beat the storm to Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania to go to the Steel City Stitchers Retreat that is happening this weekend. I've been watching the weather closely. It looks like Pittsburgh is not going to get the brunt of it, but there will be sleet, freezing rain, and snow starting late tomorrow. And I leave tomorrow morning, so I'm hoping to beat it and get there and be snug in the Marriott before everything goes crazy there in Pittsburgh. So I want to say a welcome to everybody. I thank all of my regular subscribers, people who view my channel, my little channel here. I want to say welcome to all the new subscribers and new viewers. I hope you like what you're seeing. My intent for my videos is to share the love of cross stitch with all of you. I love it. I know there's many of you out there that love it. I love to watch Flosstube while I'm stitching. So I thought I'll come on and I'll do my little videos and show what I'm doing in my little corner of the world here in my craft room in my basement. That's where I am recording this, is in my basement in my little craft room, which is a mess right now because I am in the middle of trying to figure out what projects I want to bring to my retreat tomorrow. So, and that's always a dilemma because as you know, I have many and I want to narrow it down to just maybe 4, which will probably still be too many, but I like to have options because you never know if something goes wrong, like you run out of a thread and you didn't expect it, or the lighting isn't working for a particular fabric that you're working on. So I always like to take extra because, you know, I'd hate to be struggling and not have anything to work on, like that's ever going to happen. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I know there are other people. I did see on Instagram that a couple people have already headed there and got checked into the hotel. Like I said, I'll be leaving in the morning tomorrow and trying to get there by no later than mid-afternoon so that I can get there. Last I saw that it's supposed to start turning over from rain to sleet, ice, and freezing rain later in the afternoon. So I want to get there before that happens. Anyways, what have I been up to? I have several WIPs to show you guys, and I know the last time that I had checked in with you guys in my Flosstube number 19, I had told you that I am going to participate in the 24 hours of cross stitch weekend, which happened weekend before last. It's almost been 2 weeks. It was right after my last video check-in with you guys. So I did do the 24 hours of cross stitch, and I had little notes that I had taken. And I had worked on a few projects. I didn't know whether I wanted to zero in on just one and see how far I could get on one project or work on a few different ones. So I decided I'll work on a few different ones. The weekend kicked off on January 21st, which was a Friday. I don't do the stay up all, do the 24 hours consecutive. I break it up over the weekend and I do it between Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And so on Friday, I was able to get 8 hours of stitching in. I started at 9 o'clock in the morning and I stitched besides breaks to eat, take the dogs out, feed the dogs, make something to eat and things like that. I stitched from 9 a.m. to 11 p.m. basically most of the day. So I got 8 hours in between that time frame. And the first thing that I picked up and worked on was my Twin Peak Primitives piece that I wanted to work on, and that is the first Thanksgiving, and it looks like this. And before I started, I had some of this up in here, And when I had showed this to you guys last time, I said I wanted to try to get down and work in this vignette down here, this Plymouth plantation that's in the middle. And that's where I focused my time. And I probably worked, my gosh, probably 6 hours it looks like on this that first day. 6 of those 8 hours was spent working on this piece. This one is being stitched on 16 count Ada in the color Dirty. Let me see if I can fold it over for you guys. And I was able to get in and do all of this in 6 hours. Now I am doing some color conversions. I'm sorry, there is a shadow there. Where's that shadow coming from? I might need to go turn my light a little bit more. Let me go do that real quick. I think the light is getting blocked by my camera. Let me see if that helps. Sorry about that. I should have probably tested that before, but I turned the light because I was trying not to get a reflection, but so this is where I was able to get, I had already had all of this done all up in here. And I started to think I was going to fill this in, and then I didn't like the color I was filling it in with, so I frogged that out. But I do want to fill the center of this in. But I did that much there. And I am doing floss conversions. Not the original. Some of, like this blue was a really gray color. So I picked a different blue. I also, this kind of, what looks like it's supposed to be dirt area down at the ground here. It was like a weird, it was actually this color that the bird is, kind of these grays and greens. But when you look at the model, what did I do with my book? On the front of it, the colors look brown. They look brown in here. So I frogged that out and I redid it. I picked a different color, and I just picked a brown color to put in there. So that's what that's looking like. And so after I frogged that out and put it back in, so like I said, that was what I worked on the bulk of the first day of the 24 hours of cross stitch, and that's how far I got on this one. And I'm loving this one so far. Don't have any Thanksgiving pieces. I have a little bit of decorations for Thanksgiving, but not a whole lot. So I am looking forward to one day having this finished and framed, and I can hang it up. It's a shame that it really only probably will get hung up like basically the month of November. But I'm going to love it. And every year I'll put it up and enjoy seeing it when it gets finished. My next thing that I worked on was Pandemic by Long Dog Samplers. And it looks like this. And this came out at the beginning of the pandemic. It came out, I believe, in 2020. And it was free for a little while, but I missed that window. And had to pay for mine, but that's fine. And I'm just using a piece of off-white 16 count Ada that I picked up at Hobby Lobby that you can buy in a long sleeve. And I'm using the whole piece. And I am stitching this with a variegated DMC color. This is number 5252. It's a purple variegated. So that's the one, this is the color I'm using. And I do have, and I haven't put any in there yet, but I did pull up, when I work on some of the back stitching, I might do either with a solid DMC that matches. And this one is, oh my gosh, I don't have my glasses on. Like, I think I'm going to be able to read that little label on my bobbin. 3837. Or I also have this purple Kryneck 012HL that was in my stash. I was thinking I might add a little bling to my project. But I came in and I worked on this a couple of hours in the evening on that Friday, and then I pulled it back out on the Saturday and worked on it for about 4 more hours. So it looks like I got about 6 hours on this one during the 24 hours of cross stitch. And I had already had all of this done. So what I had worked on was filling in the center of this triangle piece here, and also finishing these round, almost looks like a fringe that goes around it to me. And that's how far I was able to get on this one. And I still am seeing a little bit of a shadow. But I'm loving this piece. This is so fun to work on. It really is. It takes some counting, but I'm enjoying it. You don't have to switch threads. You just keep going with your, your thread, and just sail on along. So that was the second piece I worked on during the 24 hours of cross stitch. Put it all back in the bag. I don't want to lose my crynic or anything. And then the third piece that I was working on is my New Year, New Start. And that is, let me get her book out, Sarah Brazier, 1829, and she was the 2018 Queen of the May by Hands Across the Sea. So I was working on her, and this one's going to be a large piece. And I had, started up in this upper left-hand corner, and I was working along on this one. And I am doing this one on a piece of 32 count Lugana in the color Platinum. And I am using the called for threads, and I am using the silk, the Soirage silks for the satin stitches, and I'm using the DMC where I don't need satin stitches. And this is how far I was able to get on her. Looks like I have a piece of thread stuck to it. So I did come in the other day, a couple of weeks ago when I first started it, and I did do some of these satin stitches, but I had a couple of people tell me that I might want to wait till the end to do the satin stitches. They said because those stitches could be quite delicate, and putting them in and out of my Q-snap, the frame that I'm using, might damage, mess up my satin stitches, and I don't want to do that. I just was not looking forward to doing all of the satin stitches at the end, but that may be something that I'm going to have to do, and I'll just have to set aside time and say, okay, do an hour's worth of satin stitches, put it aside, work on something else, and keep doing that and plug away at the satin stitches once I finish all of the cross stitches on here. But what I had done during my, what did I work on this? Maybe about, looks like 2, 3, 4, I don't know, I worked on this one for quite a while, 7 or 8 hours. I think I had to frog out again, but I extended this brown border here. This is going to be filled in with more satin stitches, and this whole border is going to be all satin stitches. So there's a double satin stitch border around this piece. But I came in and I was able to do the flowers and extend this all the way across. And then I came down and I started working on some of these little motifs in the middle. These are going to be bees' wings. There's 2 little bees there. This is a part of a little bird on top of a plant kind of thing here. And doesn't seem like I've gotten much progress. I was kind of slow going for a little while. But there's 2 little bees. It's hard to see. And I was working on this little motif here. And so I've gone over about to here and down to here on my border, but I still have to work my way all the way across. She's going to be quite a large piece. And this is going to be something that's going to be something I'm going to be working on for quite a while, but I am enjoying her. So here's what she looks like from farther away, the whole thing. So that I worked on during the 24 hours of cross stitch also. I don't think there was anything else I needed to say about her, but I'm so organized. The next thing that I worked on was another long dog samplers piece. And this one is called Hoity Toity. So this was the last piece that I worked on during my 24 hours of cross stitch weekend on the 21st, 22nd, and 23rd of January. And Hoity Toity looks like this. I am getting a bad reflection. I'm going to have to turn my light a little bit more. Sorry for that. Maybe I should get up and do that real quick so you guys don't see this bad reflection the whole time. But this is Hoity Toity by Long Dog Samplers, and this one is being stitched on a 16 count Aida in the color white chocolate. I wanted to say milk chocolate, but it's white chocolate. It's a little bit of a off-white, because you can see the background of this fabric on this bag is more white. This is an off-white color. I'm doing a little bit of color conversions that I put into it, but for the most part, I'm using the called for colors, the called for DMCs for this one. Instead of black, I'm using a very dark blue color. Did I have my, oh, it's in my bag. The very dark blue color, I think, is 823. And then in place of some of the, they're kind of rose colors, but they're not as pink as the ones that I picked out, like here and here. And I'm using 3687, 3685, and 3688. Those are the conversions that I put in. But I was able to come in and work just a little bit more down here, fill in, do this basket, bring this across up here, and start working on this part here, which looks like it's the tail feathers of this bird in the middle. Kind of almost looks like a peacock a little bit, kind of. But if you can see kind of the tail feather here to this bird. So I started doing that, and I was filling in that part. So that's how far I was able to get on Hoity Toity by Long Dog Samplers. And again, another piece I love. If I don't love them, I don't continue to stitch on them. And I love most of the things I'm working on. So pretty much, if not, it's usually because I need to change the fabric or thread or something that I'm working on. But I love the patterns. Okay, and then after 24 hours of cross stitch, of course, I still had another week of stitching. So I worked on some more on a new start that I started. Just a drop of things. I have a precarious pile here. By Cottage Garden Samplings. This is the Piece on Earth. And I am doing this one on Glacier, 16 count Glacier. It's an Aida fabric. I already had all of this done. I had the house, kind of some of the roof line done and a couple of rows of this. And I think I already had the windows in, I believe. I just came in and I filled in a few more rows of this dark red color, and I started doing the mortar that's between the bricks on this side of the house, the building. And so I worked on this 1 or 2 days, and that's how far I was able to get on this one. This one's a fun little stitch, and I love this color of this fabric. Like I said, this is 16 count Aida by Picture This Plus in the color Glacier. It's really pretty. I should get I'm getting reflection because it is a nice sunny day today. But that is what the color looks like. Pretty good there. So I'm enjoying this one. And then after that, I am not using all the called for Piece on Earth. I have switched out a bunch of the colors. I copied the legend sheet and then scribbled through and put my conversion colors in there. So this is what I'm working with. I love my beautiful flosses here. How neat and organized. I mean, they are on a ring and they work. But once I start pulling threads out of them, I don't know how some people keep theirs so neat. But this is what I have. The ones in the bags are the DMCs, and I'm using the black and the white and an 844, a dark gray in DMCs, and then the rest of the colors are all overdyed cottons. So that is what I'm using for Piece on Earth. And the next one is my Winter Queen by Mirabilia. I am, she's being housed in a bag I made a couple of months ago using Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, her tutorial. So, I mean, she's a good sized project. And I'll show you what all you can fit in these little bags. It's amazing. But I'm doing Winter Queen by Mirabilia. I have her floss is bobbinated. Sometimes I floss wrap, sometimes I bobbinate, sometimes I use floss away bags. It just depends. Depends on how I feel like hitting that project. It depends on how many flosses are in that project and things like that. So, and she has whisper threads, which are the fuzzy threads. She has some petite treasure braid. She has beads. These are all my extra DMCs for her because she calls for quite a bit of 341 in her gown. So I have all of that. I am stitching this as a stitch along with Carolyn Stitches on Flosstube. This is the Winter Queen. And also Janet Jabber on Flosstube. She's doing this piece. But Carolyn Stitches that I'm doing the stitch along with, she's also known on Instagram as a fiber freak. So if you want to follow her. Her and I started this on the first day of winter, the winter solstice. I think that was December 21st, I want to say. So I started her and I was struggling a little bit. I'll be honest with you guys and tell you when I struggle with pieces and things like that. I was stitching her on a piece of 32 count Lagana in the color Helix, Helix. And I was stitching along on her. But the last that I was stitching was over here in the white and this gray. And I think I had a bunch over here that I had stitched in and I had to frog out twice. Then I had to frog some more on her. And when I was sitting there, one of the things, the problems that I was using a magnifier. I was having a hard time seeing these lighter stitches on this lighter fabric. They were kind of really blending in. And I was using a magnifier. And then I went on Amazon and I ordered, usually my readers for cross stitch, if I'm working on 16 count Aida, I use a 3.0 reader. But I went and I ordered some from, I still have the box here, on Amazon, some 4.5. They go up to 6.0, but these, I got 2 pair of these eye guard glasses. I think it was 2 pair for, I don't know, $12, $14. And so I started wearing these, the 4.5s, when I'm trying to work on a smaller fabric. And I don't need a magnifier, just these and good light, and I can see. But I was still struggling with her. I was still having problems. And she was just fading into the fabric too much. Even though the fabric, I think, will work for her. I changed gears a few days ago. And then I worked a couple more days on her. And I switched. And I pulled out this fabric that I got from Be Stitch Me. I'm on her, in her Fabric of the Month club. And I can't remember what month this was, but this one is a piece of her 32 count Lagana in the color Cardinal. And it's a beautiful kind of modelly pink. It has little bits of like, almost like peachy oranges in there. It's a really pretty, it's almost kind of like sherbet, like a pinkish sherbet color. So I started restitching her and I'm seeing the stitches much easier. And, so I'm going to continue on with this fabric. I think I might have to quit on this one. But the whites are popping off of this one. They're kind of really fading in on that one. And I mean, even the grays are showing up better here, where they were fading in a lot in this other color. So switch gears, started it this way. So I haven't made a whole lot of progress because I had to basically do a restart on her, but she is gorgeous. I am doing all of the called for colors, beads, whisper thread, all of that stuff for her. So it's all called for, but like I said, now I'm switched to Cardinal by Be Stitch Me for my fabric. So I'm going to see how. And the inspiration for changing to such a different color, this is different for me. Usually I stick with, if you notice, she's stitched on a very pale white whitish looking piece here. Usually a lot of times will kind of match as close as I can to the called for, but I was watching the Sunshine Stitchers on Sunday, this past Sunday, and Gary has been working on his Royal Holiday, which is another one of the queens by Mirabilia. She has a beautiful red and gold gown, and he's doing her on a gorgeous piece of mottled kind of browny gold colored fabric. It's a very different than the called for, a much bolder fabric, and she is popping and looking gorgeous on that fabric. So I thought, well, let me try. I said, I think I have a beautiful piece of Bestitch Me that will work. So I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this, see how I go, see how it comes along. But Gary was my inspiration for trying a bolder fabric on that one. If you haven't seen the Sunshine Stitchers, they're based out of South Florida. There are 3 of them, Gary, Shelia, and EJ. They are hilarious, and I love watching them. When I first found their channel, I guess it was maybe 6 or 8 months ago, I went back and I binge watched them. I just went and I caught up on all of their videos, and I don't know how many they have out because they've been doing them for maybe about 3 years, and they do one every week. They put one out usually every Sunday. And I got to tell you, I enjoy watching them. They're one of the ones, my go-tos. So when they put up a video, I watch them. And so that was my inspiration for doing a bolder piece with that one. Now, the next piece that I pulled out and I was working on some more was, some of them I have down here because I have large frames and scrolls for some of these pieces right now. But it is His Eye is on the Sparrow by Heartstring samplery. It looks like this. And I'm working up here in this upper corner. And I am stitching this piece with all the called for overdyed cotton flosses on a 32 count Lugana in the picture Vintage Country Mocha. And this is how far I was able to get on this one so far. And let me bring it in close for you guys. No, I'm sorry, I'm not doing all that called for. There were a few I could not find. I kitted this up at Salty Yarns in Ocean City. So I got most of the overdyeds, but the ones that I couldn't find, I subbed in. And one was the red color and one was this blue color. I do know were subbed in. So this is how far I was able to get in this one, and I'm loving this piece. It's so fun. I come over, I do a little bit of the border, and then I fill in a few of the motifs, and I do a little bit more of the border and fill in a few of the motifs. But since I last showed this to you guys, I know I did at least these 2 flowers. I extended this border over, and I did this basket and flowers. I did this flower, this bird, that bird, that bird. I guess that's a squirrel, and another flower over here. So I did all of these motifs, this one and a couple of the flowers, and I think maybe even this one down here. My goal is I want to try to work my way down because about here starts the banner, the wording. There's a banner here that says His Eye is on the Sparrow. Right here. Let's see if I can get it not to glare. So that's the basket I just did. So I'm not that far, about 3 flowers down the side. I want to work across and do this. His eye is on the sparrow and I know he watches me. So that way I can kind of have a grounding place in case my stitching ever is off a little bit. I want to make sure that I have the house is right on top of this. So are these 2 urns with these flowers and these deer. So if I can get this across here, that'll give me another counting off place in case I'm a stitch or 2 off to keep things kind of copacetic going right. And then I'll follow my border down. And when I get down here, I'll work the tree off of the border down here and these motifs. so that if I get a stitch or two off in here, it's not going to matter drastically as long as I make sure that I'm getting lined back up. Because if this bird's one stitch closer to this bird, it's not going to be a big deal. So far, I think I have all my stitches in the right place, but you know, counting is hard. So, and this is one of the pieces that I do have set aside to take to the Steel City Stitchers retreat this weekend. So I am I've been enjoying this, and I want to get some more work done on this one. And just like I had told you about the Sunshine Stitchers, well, Gary and Ronnie have a company called Garon Stitchery, and this is one of their Garon toten bags, and that's what I have my, it's a coffee bag, has coffee bean fabric on the inside, little coffee beans. And this is what I have this big project housed in, because there's quite a bunch. These are all the extra flosses for this one. That's not even, and these are all of the ones I'm working with. So got quite big piece of fabric, lots of thread, and a big booklet. So that one is being housed in that nice size Garon toten bag. The next piece that I worked on was, I love my Hawk Run pieces. I just purchased, and probably going to start this month, a 5th Hawk Run. Because if you haven't figured it out by now, I'm kind of crazy. So when it comes to my husband says I'm crazy. I don't know. You know, maybe I am. Maybe I am. But I tell him it's a good crazy. And he goes, yeah. So anyways, I started another well, I didn't start another Hawk Run, but I worked on Hawk Run Hollow piece. And this one I have already been working on. And this one is Christmas at Hawk Run. This one I saw at Keepsakes. They had it stitched up at Keepsakes in Sharonville, Ohio, Cincinnati, Ohio. And I saw it and loved it, so I had to get it. And I have mine kitted with the called for DMCs. It comes with recommended NPI is what they recommend, or they have a DMC conversion. And when I calculated how much it would cost to get all the NPI silks, I said, no, I think I'm going to do the DMC. And I like DMC, so I don't have a problem with it. I had already finished this square before. And one of my goals for this year was to finish this square at least on this one. So, and I had already had a little bit of the fence and this part of the building done, and a little bit of this, I guess it's snow probably filled in there on the ground, like a blue snow. So I came and I wanted to work on the house some more, the building. So I had just a tiny bit of the roof done. And I came in and I finished the roof, and I went ahead and did the brown for all of to frame in the windows. If I ran out of I need to do 2 little stitches there next time I get the brown back out. And I was able to get a lot of this part of this building done. I stopped here on the grass a while back, or the snow, because there's some peacocks that are in the yard that I need to do. This was just easy fill in when I was at a different retreat. So that's what I was working on. And I filled in this part of the building. So I pulled it out and I did this. And the first block is kind of hiding under the Q-snap. Hopefully the next time I show this to you, I'll have it off of the Q-snap. And I'll be able to show you the whole thing again. This, every time somebody sees any of my projects that have these, they ask me in the comments, you know, what are those and where did you get those? This is one way I wrangle all of this fabric. I have it in a Q-snap. I showed you before in a previous video how I a lot of times will fold over, especially if there are stitches that are going to be underneath the clamps. I don't like to squish my stitches under, the clamp directly on them. So I do fold over my fabric, and that also helps to kind of get rid of some of the extra fabric, so that it's not so much. Like the sides aren't bad, but this piece still has, there's going to be 3 more rows of blocks below this row. So there's a bunch of fabric here. What I have used I call these, they go by several different names, but I searched on Amazon for magnetic bungee ties and found these. And that's what they are. I got a pack of, I think, 12, either 12 or 14. And each of these sides have a magnet, each of these round things, so that when you put them together, they just magnetize to each other. And I roll up my extra fabric and I hold my piece up with that, because you can see the other magnets back here. The front magnet, they clamp together, and then they hold my extra fabric up for me so that it doesn't keep coming unrolled. But these are the 9-inch magnetic bungee ties that come in a pack of, like I said, maybe 12 for about $15, something like that. So that's what those are, and that's where I get those. Now I had showed you, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't tell you what I was stitching this one on. This one is on a 16 count Aida in the color white chocolate. 16 count Aida in the color white chocolate is what I'm stitching the Christmas ad hoc run. I had showed you that I had his eyes on the sparrow in a Guerin tote bag that's a bigger size that I had purchased. That's their large one. This is the regular size bag, and that's what I have. My Christmas ad hoc run is in this bag. This is, the reason I picked this one is there are so many peacocks in this pattern that I thought, wow, these peacock feathers are perfect for it. And then it's got this beautiful, almost looks like a, what is that, Renoir painting? I can't think of the artist. But everything fits nicely in here. My big project, all the pages, all the flosses, and my big piece of fabric fit in this bag perfect. But the difference in size is they're the same height, but the large one is probably about 4 to 5 inches longer than the regular size bag. So those are a couple of my Guerin tote bags that I have. Now, the last piece that I worked on since I last checked in with you guys was a February 1st start. This is one with a viewer and subscriber to my channel, Robin, asked me, I don't know, back a couple of months ago, if I would like to sell the Winter White Santa by Mirabilia with her. And I said, oh, absolutely. You know, I want to get started on it. We decided to start it on February 1st. So that's what I did. I pulled my, Winter White Santa from Mirabilia. He looks like this. And originally I had purchased a piece of Vintage Stormy Night or Vintage Storm that was like a light gray with a little tiny bit of modeling. But I thought, would I be in the same boat as I'm in with my Winter Queen? So I decided to go a little bolder with my choice. I looked through my fabrics some more, and I found another piece of Be Stitch Me fabric that I decided to use. And this is in a 32 count Lugana, because that is what I'm getting in my fabric of the month from her. And I'm getting fat quarters, which are basically 17 or 18 inches by about 27 inches fabrics from her. Each month I get one. And this one was It's a Mystery, was the name of this one. And so I got a start on him. And so I did a little bit of his red ribbon, and I started doing some of the darker gray here. I did have to do some frogging out on this one. Evidently, I tried to come up here. I always start in the, almost always start in an upper left-hand corner of my projects. But a lot of times for ones like Mirabilia's in Lavender and Lace, where it's like an angel, you know, like this, or the Lady of the Flag like this one, or these Santas and things like that, where it's just it doesn't have a border around the piece. I start in the center, but then I have to count. This is like counting backwards to me. And I have a harder time counting in this direction That's why I like to start in the left-hand corner, and then I just go left to right. That is how my stitching naturally flows, left to right, up to down. But when I start in the middle, I have to count over. And when I do that a lot of times, that's where I've been making the mistakes. So especially on the Lugana, because I'm very new to stitching on Lugana on an even weave. I'm used to stitching on Aida. And so I do have a little bit more of a problem counting my stitches over. So I was trying to work on his sleeve. What I did on this one, and on the Angel when I restarted her, I think that the center was like about right here, I believe. So what I did was, before I started it, now where was it? No, I'm sorry. I think it was, the center was like here somewhere. But I wanted to start over, as far over on him as I could in the middle. So I started in the middle, but I started about 60 stitches over from the middle part width-wise, if that makes sense. So what I did, because I'm working on a 32 count Lugana, but I'm stitching 2 over 2 on it, that's 16 inches per inch, so 16 stitches per inch. So what I did was I had looked at my pattern and I said, I've got to move over basically 60 stitches to get myself way over to here. So I took that 60 and divided it by 16, and I think it said 3.75 inches. So then I found the center of my fabric going vertically and horizontally, and then measured over another 3 3/4 inches and started over here. So I'm over here, but what I had tried to do was come up and work on his mitten, his cuff here. So I tried to just kind of come up and over, and I was messing up here. I was doing something wrong. So I ended up having to frog all that out that I did up here. And I decided, you know what I'm going to do is give myself a base point. I don't know if this will help any of you that have the same trouble I do. There's a lot of different colors going on. Like these are 2 colors in the red ribbon. I think there's about 3 more. So there are a bunch of varied colors. And this is part of his, the shadowed part of his cloak that looks like a dark gray here. So what I decided to do was to take the darkest color that had a lot of very definite stitches in it and put those in. And then those could be some places that I can look at really quick on my pattern, because they're like a really dark circle. They're a black circle. So they're really easy to see on my pattern than some of the lighter symbols. And it's a dark stitch, color. And then I'll be able to come in and count off of these and work at filling this in, hopefully, and then work my way back up. These were part in his sleeve, but I had some up in here that I had to take out, which were the lighter gray colors. And there again, I was struggling again. So as Annie, the proper stitcher, says, counting is hard, and it is. So, so I did that, and that's what I was working on this morning, was doing that. I had this red in, and I had some up here, and I had to frog that out this morning, and I put that in. So we'll see how I get along with this one. But this is Be Stitch Me fabric, and her fabrics are gorgeous. This one I love. This is my colorway right here. It's purples and blues. Beautiful. And the mottling on that is just gorgeous. And this is an Arabesca scroll frame. I've had people ask me if I like my scroll frame or what I use. I had just purchased these back, I think, last fall. So I've been using these for a few months, and I love them. I had Winter Queen on here because she was my Mirabilia that I was going to focus on in the month of January. And now I knew I wanted to start my Winter White Santa in February. So he'll be my Mirabilia focus for the month of February. So I took the Winter Queen off of this and put the the Winter White Santa on this, and I can show you how easily it works. It comes with these wooden, kind of like nuts, I guess, you know, little places that you can tighten and loosen your frame. And you just, to get this attached to your fabric attached to this, not like the old scroll frames. I had an old one where you had to like baste your fabric on, you had to stitch it on. This comes with these little clamps, almost like a Q-snap clamp, but they have, if you can see that, they have this area right here. It curves around the rounded part of your scroll thing. But inside this piece of wood is a groove. So you just take your fabric and you line it up to go over that groove. And then you stick this part of this in that groove and you clamp your fabric on. And it comes with plenty of clamps for to clamp it down good. There's actually 2 more I could have put on here. But since my piece doesn't span the whole width of my scroll rod, and then after you clamp it on and you do the same to the other side, then you just roll it up to wherever you are on your fabric. So, and then it's on there. Easy peasy, done. I mean, it takes a little bit of work, but not much more than a Q-snap does. And like I said, it's not like you're basting your fabric on, or I used to sometimes tape my fabric onto my scroll frames, and then it's on there pretty tight. And then my set that I got, I ordered it on Amazon. I can't remember, I want to say it was probably in the neighborhood of around $40, but it came with 2 sets of these. I have another piece that's on the sidebars are longer. I think these are probably about 7 or 8 inch, and then the other ones are maybe about 10 inches for the sidebars. There's different sets that you can purchase, and they come with 2 sets of this, the sidebars, 2 widths, and then 3 lengths of the scroll rods. So I have another set in the box that I don't have anything on. I have set 2 frames up. So you have several different options for sizes. This one is, I have it shorter here, and I can't remember. I think my other one might be a little shorter, and then my other one's a little longer than this one. I think this is the medium one that I got. But I got the custom set, I think it was called. Anyways, that's, if anybody's interested, these are the Arabesca scroll frame set from, I got them off of Amazon. So, and I love them. Everything is nicely sanded. It's smooth. It's not gonna give you splinters or anything. And it comes with all the pieces that you need and to make, 2 different frames in different sizes. And then you have, like I said, you have 3 of these, but I only have 2 of these, 2 sets of these. So I can make 2 frames at a time out of the set. But that's my Winter White Santa. So that's the last of the WIPS that I was working on. Oh, and I have people ask me all the time about my needle minders also. Let me just mention real quick again. I made this one. This one is just it was like a brooch or a pendant that I picked up at, I think, Joann's, because you can see right here where it would attach to a necklace, like a chain. But I picked it up. I buy them when they're like 50, 60% off. And then I take E6000 glue and I glue a magnet onto the back. And then I just have the sister magnet. You put the E6000 glue on it. Oop. My other one's wanting to stick. I still have a needle stuck on there. See my needle? E6000 glue. Let it set overnight. Just put a blob of glue on your magnet. Stick your magnet on the back of your button, your brooch, your piece of jewelry, whatever it is, cute little doodah that you want to make a needle minder out of, let it dry overnight, and then it's done. It's ready. And then it just sticks onto your project and hold your scissors, your needles, whatever you'd like to hold on to your piece there. That one's holding my needle right now. But that is that. So, so that was my new start and my stitch along with Robin and anybody else who wants to join us in stitching the Winter White Santa. Please feel free. I'm on Instagram as _Virginia_Stitcher. I also have a Facebook group called the Virginia Stitcher. There's just a couple of questions you have to answer to get into the group. I'll let you in. Once you answer those questions, just to make sure that you are a legit person and not, a robot or somebody that's just trying to get in Facebook groups to, I don't know, cause problems and mayhem. I don't know. But unfortunately, that happens. And I want my group to be a fun place for stitchers. I don't want drama and all that stuff on my Facebook group. But I do have a Facebook group. I do have Instagram. So if you wanted to follow along on any of the stitch alongs, share your progress, share with other stitchers, on any projects that you're working on, any of your cross stitch projects. It doesn't have to be a stitch along. It could be anything that you're working on. If you want to share it on Facebook, if you want to ask a question, stitching question on the group. People have asked, about where to get different fabrics or how they do this or how they do that, and ladies are always kind and willing to help. So that is just another venue that you can join along. So if you're so inclined. So that is the stitch along for February. I started it on February 1st, but it will be going for quite a while because you saw how far I got. This isn't going to go anywhere super fast. It isn't like I'm going to have this guy stitched up in a month. So he's going to be a good project for me to be working on. I have 3 Mirabilias going on right now, and I'm going to be switching between the 3. So between my Winter Queen, the Winter White Santa, and I have Princess Eliana going. So I've got 3, and I'll probably be flipping through all 3 of them. So it's going to take me a while to get those done. So no hurry with the stitch along. Not when I'm involved, that's for sure. I'm great at starting the projects, not so good at getting them finished fast. I enjoy the process, so it doesn't give me heartburn if it takes me a while to get things done. So, and like I said, I have the Hawk Run Hollows. Oh my gosh, I'm probably going to start this month a 5th Hawk Run Hollow. I have the map of Hawk Run, I have the shores of Hawk Run, I have Halloween at Hawk Run, I have Christmas at Hawk Run, and now I just purchased the village at Hawk Run. Yeah. So, needless to say, I will be working on, you'll be seeing Hawk Run hollow pieces on this channel for quite a while. So I have been working on Whip Gal this year. I was working on it last year and I did okay. Didn't get a blackout, but got some things finished. So I did meet my 2 goals for last month, for the month of January. And that was to work, all of my goals are 10 hours on each project. And last month I had Angel of Grace, who is by Lavender and Lace, and you would have seen her in a previous video. I did to get my 10 hours. I think I actually worked maybe 12 hours on her. And then the Village Sampler by Prairie Schooler. I think I did 12 hours on that one also. So I met both of those goals. Jessie Marie from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. She calls the 2 WIPGO numbers each month. And this, for the month of February, she has called 5 and 17. Number 5 is A Perfect World. Oh, I put them over here. I have things everywhere. Got lots of stuff. Lots of goodness to show you guys. This is another little project bag that I made. It's got bees. Look at them. Look. The inside is all bees. And like I said, this is from Elizabeth Ann Can Stitch, her tutorial. Let's see, I got bees all in there. So cute. A Perfect World by the Scarlet House was my called for number 5. And it looks like this. And I'm glad that this one got called. I've been looking to work some more on this one. And I have been working down here in the bottom. This is complete solid stitching all down here in the bottom of this one. And I haven't touched this. I looked on my progress sheet and I haven't touched this since March. And I love it. It's beautiful. I'm stitching this on 16 count Aida in the color Beautiful Beige with the called for DMCs. Do I have my board? Yes, I do. Put it behind me. Let me get it. And this is where I was on her back in March. So I've been solidly filling in with the black. This is just a DMC 310 black. And working my way across here on the checkers. And this is how far over it goes. Is over to here. So I still need to fill in all of this across the bottom. But isn't that pretty? Love it. And the first place I had seen this one was Stacy, the 911 Stitcher, had stitched this one up. And she had actually finished it, I don't know, maybe a year ago. Really pretty piece. And like I said, it's called A Perfect World by the Scarlet House. And it says, in a perfect world, you would find me here with the birds and the flowers and the dogs and the deer. And look at all the little puppy dogs. Look at them. I have 2 right now, and I've had other dogs. I've had German Shepherds. I had a Beagle. When I was growing up, I had a cockapoo when I was little, really little. But we were military and we were moving to Hawaii and we couldn't ship her to the island. There was some kind of restrictions and things like that. So we had to give her up, which was really sad. But while we were living in Hawaii, we got a Beagle. And oh my gosh, she was a hoot. So I had a Beagle for several years. She passed away, I think, when she was 13 or 14 years old. So I had her most of my childhood. And then when I grew up and got married, I had a German Shepherd. And then, well, actually, at first I had an Australian Shepherd, but she passed away. When she was a puppy, she ended up electrocuting herself by chewing on some wires. I would leave her locked up in the kitchen at night. It was the only place that I had that I could pin her up at that time. And I was renting a townhouse then. And I didn't want her like tearing up the carpets and things like that. So the only place that wasn't carpeted that I could put her was in the kitchen. And it had these louvered doors that I could shut her in there. And I was getting up to get ready for work. And she had, during the night, evidently chewed on the microwave cord. This was back in the day when you didn't have microwaves in your kitchens. You bought one and had it on a microwave cart. And so we had a microwave on a cart and her water bowls were on the floor. And she evidently had spilled her water and was standing in her water and was chewing on the microwave cord and electrocuted herself. It was so really sad, really, really sad. But after her, we purchased a regular Shepherd. Probably a year later, got another dog. And then had that one until she passed away from bloat, which I had never heard of in my life. But evidently, especially bigger dogs, they're barrel chested. If they have a full belly and they run around, their stomach can flip and it cuts off their the gastric area, and they can die very, very quickly. And that's what happened to her. She died in hours. I didn't know what was wrong with her. I was at work. My now ex-husband, but husband at the time, he was home and he said, she's not acting right. So as soon as you get home, can you check on her? Because he needed to leave. He was leaving. And when I got home, poor thing, she was able to stumble over to me and was dead before I could get her to the vet. So Then we got another shepherd after her, and this one, oh my gosh, this shepherd, like a year later, we got another one, and she was a handful. That dog was smarter than the previous shepherd. She would not hurt a flea. She was a 90-pound big girl. But yet she was very protective of my little girls. I have 2 daughters, and they were small at the time. She was so good with them, and she was like their little nursemaid, and she would watch them while they were in the yard. If they were out playing on the swing set, she was with them. And if anybody even came anywhere near our yard, oh my gosh, I would know. So she was really good with the kids. She was a great dog, but she's the one that died from bloat. And then when we got the other one, she was a little bit smaller of a shepherd. I think she only weighed about 75, 80 pounds. And that she was a spitfire. She had the personality of 10 dogs. She reminds me of my little one I have now, Molly, that's my handful. She is a handful. She's a spitfire. And then I have the laid back little cuddly one that likes to just cuddle with you. And then I have the spitfire. So it's almost like the 2 of my shepherds and 2 tiny little Yorkie mix dogs. The dogs I have now are Morkies. So I have always had dogs, and love dogs, love cats, I just love animals, but I love dogs. And so I think I might try to see what I can do about the color at least, and see if I can make them look like some of the dogs. I had the cockapoo was black. Her name was Missy a long, long time ago. And then I have a black and cream and a blonde, kind of beigey colored dog now. And of course the shepherds were the standard black and tan shepherd look. So I'm going to be working on this one for WIPGO. I digressed, got into a long story there. Sorry about that. And then I just, that's why this one spoke to me. I love, 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 love dogs. And it says, you'll find me here with the birds and the flowers and the dogs and the deer. And the other number on the WIPGO, the number 19, is where'd I put it? My 3 Things sampler. This one is by Stitches Through the Years. You can find her on Etsy. This was a download that I had done off of Etsy. And so the best picture for it is probably here, because she shows a lot of partial pictures of this sampler. But it's Little Things Sampler by Stitches Through the Years on Etsy. And I am stitching this one on a, looks like 32 count Lugana, because there is some 1/1 stitching on this one. And it's a mushroom Lugana, the color mushroom. Looks like it's a Zweigart because it has the orange thread running through the side. A lot of times if you want to tell what the base of your fabric, the manufacturer, if it's a Zweigart, it will have the orange thread down here. Not doing good at showing it. So there's orange thread running in the salvage. And that usually indicates a Zweigart. But this is in 32 count mushroom Lugana. And this is how far I was able to get on this one so far. So I'm going to pick this up and work on it at least 10 hours this month for my WIPGO. But this one also has some satin stitches in it. And I'm just doing these with the DMC because there's not as much satin as like the Sarah Brazier piece. But the satin stitches are right in here. So there are satin stitches and 1/1 in this piece. I'll try to tell you guys if there are specialty stitches in a piece. For those of you that like to stitch on Aida, because it's not impossible to do that stuff on Aida, but it's generally not as easy. And it depends on how much there is. Sometimes, like I said, both of these ladies back here are stitched on Aida. I never stitched on anything but Aida before. And all of these, all of my angels that I've stitched, they've all been stitched on Aida. And the Lady of the Flag from Mirabilia, she was stitched on Aida years ago. So you can do, there are some fractional stitches in these pieces, but not that many. Just a little bit in their face and hands. And you just pierce the middle of your Ada stitch to get the fractional stitches in there. So this is my other whip go piece that I'm going to work on. So I'm showing you where I'm going to start at and see how much I get done this month on these two. Then another challenge that I've been doing is the 24 hours of cross stitch with Jen Lee. She's Quirks and Stitches on Instagram. She does the 24 hours of cross stitch, and she does an acrostic every month. And January's acrostic was Find Your Calm. And for each letter, you just find something that can correspond to that. Like this D was for long dog samplers, so I did pandemic. And I wanted to work at least 5 hours on it, which I did. I worked on that during the 24 hours of cross stitch weekend. She hosts one of those once a quarter. The next one is in April. I think around the 20th, something like that, of April. But like for the I had I'll Be Home. So I was able, all of these that I checked off the boxes and then I highlighted them, I was able to meet all of those goals. The one that I did not, I quit on this one. This was my red sampler, my anniversary sampler. And I had R for red sampler. I was trying to do a thread a day on it, and I did for about 2 weeks. And then I wasn't liking how it was looking, so I stopped. I'm reevaluating that one. That might UFO that one and start, I might start my Token of Love in place of that one. I'm not sure yet. And I have a Silks for You coming from Australia, a red Silks for You, that I might do that in. And the other one that I did not get was my Twin Peak Primitives One Nation piece. I wanted to work 10 hours. I only got 6 in. Otherwise, I met all of my goals in January on my 24 hours of cross stitch. So I met my whip go goals, and I almost did all of my acrostic goals. So I was quite pleased with that. And so in my calendar, this is my 2-year calendar, got this off of Amazon. I put the tabs on. I purchased these at Hobby Lobby or somewhere and put those on so that I can just flip to the month really quick. But in the acrostic for February, this month is, it's Jen's 40th birthday this year in February. February 20, she liked that it was on February of 2022. So she's doing 222 mini whips if you follow her on Instagram or on her Flosstube channel. So this acrostic this time was hashtag 222 mini whips. And then these were the projects that I had slated in for this one. I changed my mind on this. I had hoity-toity last time for a Y, and I thought, no, this time I think I want to do my year in silhouette. The Y is for year. So, and then I'm going to start the new anniversary piece. That's going to be my Token of Love. So I've got Village of Hawk Run that I want to start. Do 10 hours on that one. This one is, 2 hours on Cirque du Soleil, 2 hours on Huckleberry Farm, 2 hours on Plymouth Sampler. If I could get at least 2 hours on those, I could do more. But my goal is at least 2 for these 222s. That's what I did for the 222s. And then the Map of Hawk Run, I want to do 5 hours on for M. For the A was my anniversary sampler. I want to get 10 hours on that one since that's a new piece. I want to get some good progress on that one. For the N, I have Nantucket Rose, which is a lavender and lace lady. I want to do at least 5 hours on her. My Y is my year in silhouette, 5 hours. My W is, I'm trying to read these backward. Winter White Santa, which was my new start, my stitch along. I want to do 15 hours on that one because I want to get a good progress on him. I'll Be Home series by Twin Peak Primitives. I want to get 5 hours on that one. I have that one right back here because my goal is to finish at least the February block, the February house, and that's this one. This is January over here. I had it done last year. I'm trying to get February at least done. So this is my starting point. I'm going to get some more work done on this one. This is an X-Jude Design XJU design a piece of fabric in 16 count Aida, and it's colored marbled pointer. I picked this up at Keepsakes in Ohio. So that is that piece. So I had that one on the, it's Q-Snap. And then I want to work on A Perfect World, which is my Whip Go piece that I just showed you, with the dogs. And then Sampler for S, which is my Little Thing sampler. That's my other Whip Go piece. So I want to work 10 hours on each of those because those are my goals for my Whip Go. And then new starts that I have for this month. I've already started the Winter White Santa by Mirabilia. That's my stitch along. And then I have Village Ad Hoc Run. I'm going to start that one this month. And my Token of Love for my anniversary piece for my husband and I. So those are my goals for this month. And we will see where the month takes me. Like I said, I wanted to get on here really quick. It's been over an hour, I'm seeing already. I talk a lot. So I wanted to hop on here and get this done. I was kind of iffy whether I'd have time to get this done today because I'm trying to do laundry, pack, and get everything squared away and ready for me to head out first thing in the morning so I could beat the winter storm to the Pittsburgh area in Pennsylvania. So for all of you that are right now, probably as you're watching this, could be going through this winter storm Landon that's taking over the country. I hope you guys are safe and warm and just cozied up and doing your stitching. I was watching Janet Jabber just this morning, and she said she's planning on taking off work because she's in an area that's supposed to get maybe 2 to 3 feet of snow. And she's going to stay home and stitch, drink hot tea and stitch. Sounds like a plan. I'm going to be crazy. I'm going to try to beat the storm into part of the storm, because here in Virginia, we're just supposed to get rain. It's going to be 60 degrees tomorrow, 55, 60 degrees, and just be rain. But in other parts of the country, as I'm driving, it's only supposed to be rain, but later in the day, I think the temperatures are going to start to drop, and then it's going to turn to freezing rain and stuff on my way. So I want to get there, hopefully before it starts. So say a prayer for well wishes for me to get there safely, and I'm hoping to catch up with a bunch of the stitchers and have a great time. In the meantime, I really hope that you guys have a great rest of your week. I have one last thing I wanted to show you. I had showed you that I had FO'd. I have a finished object. It's not fully finished. This was my winter band sampler, or no, the snow sampler, I think it is, by Country Cottage Needleworks, Little House Needleworks. I always get those two confused. But I had finished this one, and I went out and I found something that I think I want to finish it on. I just got to get it done. I went to Hobby Lobby, and this was in their spring shop. And yes, this is summery, but this centerpiece here will be the perfect size to fit my my piece in. I've measured it. I was eyeballing it there, and I said, I really think that's going to be the size that this piece will fit in. So I'm going to take and cover, put this on a piece of foam core board or something, and stick it into the center of here. But first I wanted to paint this. It's kind of more just an unfinished, like pine wood. I want to kind of paint it white, but kind of shabby chicy white. And I think this is what my plans are for that piece. I'm going to try to FFO it on that. So hopefully, if I have time after I get back from my retreat, I'll get that FFO'd. I just got to get that painted, and it's not great weather outside to paint outside. So if I paint inside, I don't know, I could try to go in the utility area down here in the basement and try to do that. Or I might just have to wait till the weather gets nice before I can finish that completely. So that's all I have. That's all I've been up to. So in the meantime, I hope all of you have a wonderful, wonderful week. I'm wishing you all health, happiness, and lots of good stitching time. And just I'm praying every one of you well. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, happy stitching. Be well and be happy.